My dear students, good morning to you. Today we are discussing about the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. Act means the law that is passed by the Parliament of India. In Indian society has got a great problem for the scheduled tribes and scheduled caste people. So when they face that problem, we must understand they must be protected, provided good facilities, and they must be able to go along with other members of the society. That is what we want. So this act was framed in 1989 due to the demands made by Dalits and others against the ill treatment and humiliation of Dalits and tribals faced in everyday life. Nowadays we hear a lot of news from different parts of India about the trouble that is faced by Dalits in UP, in Rajasthan, in Bihar, different places. And we know that it's a reality. So, the scheduled caste people and those people who are working with them to uplift them demanded that strict laws are needed. A positive step is needed from the part of the government to prevent any more criminal activities against them. So the bill was passed. As per the bill, the law has come into existence. Now let's see. Why this has happened? Because there is a demand in southern part of India, in South India, assertive Dalit groups, means the groups that are in South India, they demanded, because they were supported by the educated people who wanted these inhuman practices should be abolished. They wanted equality should be maintained in the country. All the citizens should get equal rights. So, these South Indian Dalit organizations, they demanded that these are the necessities for the scheduled caste people to come to the equal status with others. So, in South India, they refused to perform the so-called caste duties, because we have seen the washing of the leg was considered with the caste duty of the low caste people, and they have to take bath in that water which was used to wash the legs of the Brahmins. So they told this kind of inhuman practices should be abolished by the government. And they told it's a humiliation and exploitation of the less. Why, if this is not a humiliation and exploitation, why this same act cannot be done by any other community? If it is a religious ritual, anybody can wash. Why it is only meant for Dalits to wash? Why only it is meant for scheduled caste people to wash? Anybody can wash the legs of the Brahmins. Brahmins themselves can wash the legs each other. If that is sacred thing that the Brahmin's legs should be, the Pujari's legs should be washed. So that's the question came up. If it is to be washed only by Dalits means, that's a humiliation. If something is equal, or it is not meant for ill treatment or for inequality, anybody can do that duty. Every citizen is equal. Why it is meant only for one group of people? This question came up. So that is the thing. They refuse to follow the practices located in the and in the humiliation and exploitation of Dalits. The more powerful caste unleashed violence against them. When this kind of things are coming out, now powerful groups will threaten them, attack them, say that nothing will be provided to you, you will be thrown out of the village, nobody will talk to them, and if anybody talks to them, they will be beaten up, they will be punished. So naturally other groups of people will be so much afraid of them. So the lower class people demanded rules and regulations that would protect them from inhuman treatment of the upper caste people. So if a Dalit person, if a scheduled caste person is ill-treated, the punishment for that is something different. It will be serious crime than a same caste member is done. That is the reason. In order to indicate to the government that untouchability was still in practice and in the most heinous manner, Dalits demanded new laws that would list the various sorts of violence against Dalits and prescribe stringent punishment. If you do this, this will be your punishment. Such rules and regulations were passed by the parliament. Those rules and regulations are the Atrocities Prevention Act of 1989. So they have told this kind of still are in practice. Government says untouchability is abolished. No untouchability is there in the paper, but reality untouchability takes place. So government has to understand that reality is there. So they must find a step, a preventive method to stop all this kind of unwanted activity which doesn't treat equally of every human being. In 17th and 18th, Adivasis also organized themselves and demanded equal rights and for their land and resource to be returned to them. Because some people have encroached their lands by force. Because Dalits, they may not have the guns to fight with the upper caste people. So they have no choice. So they too had faced the anger of the powerful social groups and were subject to great deal of violence. The Adivasis also. Not only the scheduled tribal people, Adivasis also were dealing with them were dealt with like that. The act contains very long list of crimes, some of which are horrible even to contemplate. The crimes that are being mentioned in the act are horrible. We cannot even imagine, we cannot even think. That's to contemplate. To discuss even we will feel unhappy and disgusted. That's the situation. We cannot even discuss about this kind of thing. The act describes terrible crimes and lets people know what dreadful deeds human beings are capable of. What kind of ill treatment is given to the Dalits. That is why the law is passed. The law seeks to punish as well as influence the way we think and act. It is not, laws are not made just to punish the persons who are violating the law. It is to educate the public, to educate the society. Please don't do wrong things. These are the wrong things that exist in the society. So please stop doing these wrong things. And if you are educated and you are told not to do it, if you do, naturally everybody has to get punishment. For us also, whatever we do, anybody, any human being, whoever does the mistake will get punishment. It may be smaller, if it is a small thing, it may be bigger things. When you do something in the class, teacher scolds you, that's a punishment they get. You are even asked to stand up when you are doing something in the class, so that itself, standing itself is a punishment for you. And teacher tells you continue to stand, that's a punishment, your punishment is over. So, anybody, anywhere, will get punishment for the offense he does. So don't think that you will escape. Somebody may escape, some other occasions may be caught. You know that, anybody it is. So the law is made to punish the persons who are still not ready to accept that education given to him. Law is not made to punish anybody. Law is made to understand these are the mistakes that are taking place. Please stop those mistakes. Don't repeat. Those who are traveling in the train, there is a chain. You can pull the chain and to ask the train to be stopped. But if it is written there, if you simply pull the chain, you will be getting 6 months punishment or 1,000 rupees a fine. Why it is written? So that people will not simply pull the chain. So education is given to me. You don't simply pull the chain. If you feel unhappy, you saw very nice chain, just to pull it, not to do it. That's the reason. But it is made permission, chain is hanged there so that in any emergency situation, anything that is beyond your control is horrible, it is, you must hold the chain and train will be stopped. It is to help the people. And if those things which are made to help the people are misused by the people, so that person should be punished. That is why the rules and regulations are made to punish. Rules and regulations are really not made to punish anybody. It is to help the society to have a good life. The Act distinguishes several levels of crimes. It lists humiliation, physically horrific and morally reprehensible. Reprehensible means horrible. Physically means beating up, doing something, humiliation from the public. All those things are morally reprehensible. It is. We cannot accept this kind of punishment. Force a member of SC/ST community to drink or eat an inedible or obnoxious substance. Somebody may be asked to drink urine or drink anything, eat anything which he cannot drink or eat, which we cannot even imagine of drinking and eating. So they will be forced to eat and drink. Many stories you might have read about it. So that is a crime. If a scheduled caste member or a scheduled tribe member is asked to eat or drink which is not acceptable to society, he will be punished. The person who forced them will be punished. The person who is affected can file a case in the court, in the police station. So that is why it is made. Forcibly removes clothes. Sometimes you hear they were brought paraded in the public naked. Family members, mother was paraded, sister was paraded, or the persons who had done they are married or something is they were paraded naked. These things are a punishable offense if it is done to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. If it is done to any human being, it is punishable offense, we know it. Removing the clothes of somebody, forcing somebody to go naked, it's a punishable offense. And if it is specially to the Dalits, then it will be more punishable, more crime will be there. That's from forcibly removing clothes from the person of a member of a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, or parades him or her naked or with painted face, colorful face, hanging chapels and all those things, body, or commits any similar act which is derogatory to human dignity, not a respectable way, then punishable offense. It lists action that disperses Dalits and Adivasis of their resources. If their property is snatched, somebody who is powerful in the village does agriculture in the Dalit areas, and he cannot question. If he is questions, he will be challenged and beaten up, and the police may also support the upper caste. All those things forces them into performing a slave labor as a slave without any salary. Only food may be given, That is also meager survival. That is a forced labor link. So all those things are a punishable offense. The act sets out to punish anyone who wrongfully occupies or cultivates any land or allotted to a member of SC, ST, or gets the land allotted to them transferred. If a government gives the land to SC, ST members and that land is transferred to some other, it's all criminal offense where the punishment is possible. So this kind of things, because earlier they were doing it, nobody questions them. There no law to protect their issues. So 1989 government has passed the law supporting the scheduled caste people and scheduled tribe people. The act recognizes the crimes against Dalit and tribal women are of specific kind. Not only meant to women, it will be more specific. Seeks to penalize anyone who assaults or uses force on any woman belonging to a scheduled caste or scheduled tribe with intent to dishonor her. If you ridicule her in public place, if you make fun of a lady in the public place, a scheduled caste, then you are eligible to be punished. Because they are helpless. They are not so much respected in society as so they want to be respected and treated equally. So that is what the law tells. Now we will read the writings of Kabir Das once more. Pandit, Kabir Das is telling, Pandit, look on your heart for knowledge. Tell me where untouchability came from, since you believe in it. How the untouchability of the word? Who should be untouchable? How the untouchability has come inside? He is telling. Mix red juice, white juice, and air. A body bakes in a body. A body bakes in a body. A body is made in a body only. From mother only the child come. Is it without touching? He is asking. Mixing red juice, white juice, anything, it is with the touching only. Anything with touching only. Nothing can be done without touching. That is what he tells. We eat by touching. We take the food and eat. We cannot eat without touching. Even if you use a spoon, the spoon should be touched. So that food will not go into our mouth. Either by hand or leg, we must touch. So that is what he is telling. We wash by touching. We have to wash the hand by using our hand. So that is also touching only. Without touching both hands, one hand alone we cannot. That also finger will be touching each other. The fingers do not touch each other, we cannot wash. Simply keeping the hand under water, it is also touching. That water itself, water is touching the hand. So can you do anything without touching? From a touch, the world was born. God has told world to be born, or God has created, touched, shaped. Then only the world was born. That is what the poet tells. Kabir Das tells. So who is untouched? Ask Kabir. Only she who is free from delusion. It's imagination, not reality. Only something that is not reality, only untouched. Everything that is a reality is touched. Nothing can exist without touching. Nothing has come into exist without touching. Then why do you practice untouchability? That is the question Kabir Das is asking. So nothing is untouchable. Everything is touchable. That is what Kabir Das says. Nothing in the world has come into existence. We know that. If a child is not touched, the child cannot grow. If a plant is not touched by anybody, plant is to be planted there, it cannot grow even properly. So we have to touch it. In the forest, animals, their mothers touch the younger ones. The plant itself, wind makes them to touch. Wind touches the plants. So everything is by touch. Then why do you practice untouchability? That's a question the poet is asking. So let us hope this Prevention Act will bring equality in our society. all human beings will be treated equally, and people take the rules and regulations in a positive way. That's what we have to do. Okay, thank you very much.